And then I guess we'll just go into the CTX. No.
Yeah. I think that works.
Time-wise, I think we've sort of slid along today, so it's now 3:16. Right. Curl container update. Right. So, what have we done this year? So, we still host the container on Docker, on Key, on GitHub. Docker is kind of funny because they keep on trying to monetize whatever they're doing. So, I think I've kind of lost track of what they're doing. In other words, I kind of just ignoring them, because we used to have some account for open source stuff, and now we don't, but we seem to still be the same thing. So I'm just going to be silent and, be happy. We're very, grateful to Docker Hub, and we can understand they need to make money. That's fine. But I'm sure there are sort of things we can sign up to do more with them, get better, graphical accounts and information. But I don't feel motivated to do that, frankly enough. So what's the numbers? Yeah, it's about 6.3 billion. It hasn't grown a lot since last year. It actually seems to be sort of topping out in terms of the number of pulls across all platforms. It's probably across GitHub, Key, and Docker. We're probably near 7 billion in total. Yeah, but it's getting hard to count. All of I have visibility in how we do it with the Key stuff. And people count different things, and also there's a lot more caching infrastructure going on. So whereas we got a lot of numbers before, it might have all collapsed down to one, every time we do a release. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to know what's the reality. It certainly is getting used out there, and how much more can it be used? I mean, we are definitely in the top 100 containers, if not maybe the top 10 containers being used, which just blows my mind. I don't really know what to make of it, other than a lot of Kubernetes stuff. You need to
every time I mention this, sort of the number of Docker posts, everyone just keeps asking why.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's kind of fun that we don't know either. And we also say why.
Yeah, I think I said this last year or the year before. The reason why we did this, the reason why I did this was mainly security. If you go to any of the repositories, there was these curl containers that were years old with 20 CVEs in it. I was like, God, we can't let people do that, can we? And it's still the same for me. I mean, to be honest, I don't know where all the container stuff is going. I don't know. What is it? What does it mean to me? At Red Hat we use OpenShift and all that type of stuff, but I don't know where all this is going, except that I think it's providing service to people, and then there's the inevitable question. What do we enable? We have a pretty minimal container, and should we enable anything else? Kerberos, LDAP, SMTP, DNS. I don't know. My approach to this has been, don't touch anything. And really very few people have said anything. So why just randomly add stuff? If you look at Federer's build flags, I did this across Debian, Fedora, all the platforms out there, and I really can't make head or tail of that. I don't know why we have, why do we have Gopher enabled? Why do we have? There's some things in here that I just, I got to talk to the guys at Fedora because it doesn't make any sense. But I guess, I would ask, can we, as people here, what would we like to see? At the moment, we have, HTTP 2 support on our curl container. But what of our curl flags? I'd really appreciate it if all of you have a chance. Send me an email that says, here are my build curl configure flags, and I'm going to kind of average them out into something, because I'm not very happy with what we have now.
So the distros.md file now has links to most of the distros.
Right.
Go through those pretty quickly, find what they're using.
Yeah, I've done that, and also you can pull all the containers and just use curl config to tell you the configure flags as well. Anyways. The other big thing is Debian. I've been watching Debian, and now we've gone back to OpenSSL. I want to enable HTTP 3, but I'm kind of scared about doing that. I don't really understand. We've literally not had one person say. Well, we had literally one person out of 7 billion pulls that I want HTTP 3, and it's just, I don't know if we should do it or not. Oh, or maybe we should do it because we want things to be tested more. I don't know.
Yes, I think that's a primary reason. And I also think another reason is that I think with the new changes now, more distros are going to have HTTP3 enabled, so it will probably be more in sync with how everyone else is going to do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what's the rule of thumb between experimental, not experimental, and you want to turn it on? Like, what is the sort of, what is germane for everyone's benefit? Yeah, I think HTTP3 is that. I think my only concern at the moment would be how fresh OpenSSL is with regards to supporting it.
I agree, but they're shipping it in their sort of.
So we should, yeah.
Yeah. If they ship it, they believe
Right.
in it. So who are we to question that?
So I'm on board. Let's do it next release. We'll make HTTP3. I think the last time we talked about it, I was starting to look at the new TLS, and it wasn't quite there either last year. So I've been watching. How is this going to go? We're going back to OpenSSL. So I think we'll just make that happen. Like I said, there's not many slides here because there's not much to talk about. I'm looking for people to, if people are interested in contributing or taking over or doing a release or whatever like that. But I was thinking the other day, like, one of the things why we did this was because before the security wasn't as transparent with containers, yeah? The world has changed a little bit now. Most of the repositories give a report, a security report on the container. So it's harder for you to have a 10-year-old version of curl pulling it down. You've got a lot of tools now telling you, don't do that. You have bad software. What's wrong? Like, I don't think everything lasts forever. Like, why do we have to do a distro? Why do we have to do a curl distribution? What benefit is it to us? Will someone else do it? Yeah. I don't know. At some point, is this something we want to do? Like. I don't feel like I was thinking maybe with the containers we could use them for testing as well, but I know we have other containers for tests, right? Are we using some? Last time I think we talked was, don't know why I'm looking at you, Victor. What was it?
I don't have a.
No, I mean, for
don't think we
testing, it's not really that good, right? Since we want to build everything new for
Yeah.
testing all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So
So it's not a static container that
Maybe
you
for
built
the
and you're not
performance
going to
test,
use.
we could use it.
But we have the dailies happening. You could just pull that.
Yeah.
Pull that
so
one and pull an older one and compare the two for performance.
yeah, it could be
That
one
would be-
perhaps a convenient way
Don't
to
have
have
to
performance
build it.
testing.
and remember we have curl base. We don't just have curl the sort of appliance. We have curl base, which we can make a test container with. Yeah. But it's sort of coming onto my timeline. Like, what would happen if we just said we don't want to do curl container anymore, and see what kind of response to
Well,
that.
same for the Windows curl builds, which is a little bit.
Uh,
Not sure
Yeah,
what doing it.
I think the Windows curl builds would cause a louder scream, but we can still question if it's our job to do it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the container thing, I think we get kind of low amount of feedback from users using it. I mean, if people are actually using it for getting newer versions and for security and stuff, they seem to be very quiet at least. So sure, 7 billion pulls, but 3 bug reports. I don't know what it is. So.
I mean, it certainly is in a lot of places. I get a lot of like spam because of of this, but none of it is none of it leads to any kind of let's build more stuff on top. And personally, I was interested in the security aspects of it, and but I don't know. Maybe in the future. You'll just set to never pull bad software. Yeah, you might, if you're in container land, your Kubernetes or OpenShift will never pull something that has CVEs against it.
I think actually the way I find it most useful is to sort of help users run a newer version of kernel when they're stuck
Yeah,
on some old distro.
Yeah.
That's sort of the use case I find more common.
Right, that's all I have for curl container. I don't know if you have any questions, anything you'd like to see in it.
How much work do you feel that there is to sort of, how much work do you put into updating?
Not a lot. I mean, I've automated everything now. So
Yeah.
last year, I had a really nasty shell script last year to build everything, and now I have yet another nasty shell script using Builda to build things, but it's all automated. So every once in a while, when we're doing release, there's some minor issue in terms of we have to update Alpine or we have to the libpsl thing. Like that's always, but it's nothing. It's not. It doesn't. There's no problem in terms of time working on it for me. But it's like containers in general is sort of, I feel like there's other people who probably know better. Yeah, I'm coming at it from a very narrow point of view. That is, if we can have people avoid, having bad software with CVEs, then I'm happy. But other people must know, how to bring this forward. I'd love to meet anyone who's in container land. Please contact me, and maybe we can, improve things.
I can imagine this being used for testing for the dailies or for some experimental features you would want it to have tested.
Yeah,
Because this is easier than pulling it and building it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. We could have a whole build with all batteries included. Turn on everything. Yeah, why not? That's something we could consider doing. Yeah, definitely.
And then market it as please test this. If you don't want to build one yourself, just use this container, test your stuff in CI.
Yeah, definitely.
So we don't break you by accident.
I mean, we do have like instant curl development container as well. So how the Builda script does, it first builds the dev environment, then it builds a base image, and then it builds the appliance image. So you can. I haven't pushed. We're not regularly pushing the dev image to anywhere, but GitHub containers has it. Always up to date.
Do you build all the dependencies from source, or just use whatever Alpine has?
I used to do that. I just pull from Alpine. It turned out to be better in terms of making sure those lower level dependencies, those other dependencies are patched up and all that. It just removed. Alpine's pretty good in terms of ensuring things are patched. It just made it more automatic for me as well. And remember, every time we build, we're scanning it for bad stuff. So I've got my own sort of special homebrew scan, but we do all the container scans, and after it goes through all that, and I think I also do like Clam AB, just general virus scan because I'm paranoid. And Claire, Tribby, and something else. We usually catch everything.
I would like just to share my experience with trying to build curve.
Oh yeah.
As I mentioned before, what I want to do is mainly to build it has to build an OpenSSL, and also it needs the CRS enabled.
Sorry, which one
CRS,
enabled?
I think it's called CRS.
Right.
It's for DNS lookup.
Yeah.
And I have to build both from source, and then when I try to build curve, it's for some reason we couldn't see the CRs, and I started to play with enable shared or enable things. And I'm from C# background, I don't know C++. So
Right.
I had to. So I would like to know if that the curve container would help me make it easier for me.
I mean, it would make it easier for you in that we have 3 flavors: Alpine, Debian, and Fedora. If you're on any of those, that's.
I was building on Debian.
Yeah. So if you're on if you want to do Debian, I mean, does it have what you want? Does it have the backends that you want? Maybe not. Yeah. So it would have to be added to the definition of the container. It might be that whenever you're building curl, obviously you have to have the dev header files and all that type of stuff as well. But That might be something with the, you know, I've been pretty minimalistic in terms of the dev container as well. I didn't want to introduce all the stuff to leak through to the appliance container, even though it's pretty much well impossible because we build curl base by, you know, physically copying only those artifacts that are built, nothing else, onto a clean image. We don't carry across the development environment at all. No. Yeah, but you know what? If you have your computer here, I'm sure someone. But you know, feel free to.
It was like a project, and I just left it, so I don't care anymore. But like I'm just wondering if I've been in the same.
I mean, part of the problem with software that curl had, like curl, is that you have just so many options.
Yeah.
And that with every option comes the potential for failure in terms of what did I do wrong on this operating system on, you know, this day. You know, it's just. I think. I don't know if we'll ever see software like curl again. Is I guess the answer. I mean, maybe someone would just stick to one protocol, or you know. Not have, you know, a million other things, but yeah. That's all I want to talk about in terms of containers. Yeah? Okay. What I'm going to suggest is we take like a very short, like 5 or 10 minute break, and then we're going to do some fun stuff. Yeah?